There are moments in life that don't look dramatic. No screaming, no breaking objects, no obvious ending. Just one sentence, spoken calmly, that quietly changes everything. That's exactly what happened when he looked at me and said, "I don't care what you think about me." And the worst part? He didn't even look angry when he said it. That's when I realized something terrifying. Sometimes emotional distance doesn't come with fights. Comes with silence. We didn't start like strangers. We started like people who couldn't get enough of each other. I still remember the early days clearly. The constant messages. The long calls that lasted until midnight. He used to say things like, "You're the only person I feel comfortable talking to like this." And I believed him. Because when someone makes you feel chosen, you don't question it. You trust it. We had routines. Morning messages. Random check-ins during the day. Even silly arguments that ended in laughter. Felt stable. Safe. Like something that would naturally last. But nothing stays the same forever. Not even the things that feel perfect in the beginning. The first shift was so small I almost ignored it. His replies started slowing down. Not by much. Just enough that I noticed. But not enough to complain. Instead of "Good morning, Red Heart," I got "GM. Instead of "How was your day?" I got "Okay." I told myself, he's just busy. That's what people always say when they don't want to face reality. So I adapted. I lowered my expectations without realizing it. I stopped double texting. I stopped asking unnecessary questions. I stopped expecting the same energy I used to get. And slowly, I started becoming quieter in my own relationship. Then came the conversations that felt different. Not arguments, not fights, just emotional gaps. If I expressed something that bothered me, he would say, "You're overthinking again," or "You always make problems out of small things." At first, I believed him, because when someone you love tells you that you're too much, you start shrinking yourself. I began questioning my own emotions. Maybe I was overthinking. Maybe I was being sensitive. And without realizing it, I stopped expressing myself fully. I started filtering my thoughts before speaking. I started choosing silence instead of honesty, because silence felt safer than rejection. There's a strange phase in relationships no one talks about. When you start predicting someone's reactions before you even speak. That's where I was. I would think, if I say this, will he get annoyed? If I ask this, will it become a problem? If I share how I feel, will he dismiss me again? So I stopped talking freely. I wasn't myself anymore. I was a carefully edited version of myself. And I didn't even notice when that change happened. Because emotional distance doesn't announce itself. It slowly replaces connection with caution. The day before everything changed, nothing felt special. We talked like usual, but something felt slightly off. Not his words, his energy. He seemed disconnected, like he was physically there but mentally somewhere else. I ignored it, because I didn't want to create problems in my head. That night, I remember lying in bed thinking, maybe I'm just tired. Maybe everything is fine. I had no idea that the next day would break something I couldn't repair. The next day started normal. We were talking casually, until I noticed something didn't match with what he had said earlier. It wasn't even a serious issue, just a simple inconsistency. So I asked, "Hey, didn't you say something different about this before?" My tone was calm, curious, not accusing, but his reaction changed immediately. He sighed, put his phone down, and looked at me like I had done something wrong. Then he said, "Why do you always question everything I do?" I was confused. "I'm not questioning you. I just want to understand." But he interrupted me. His voice got sharper, frustrated. And then he said the sentence that changed everything. "I don't care what you think about me." There was no argument after that, because something inside me shut down completely. It wasn't sadness first. It was disbelief. Like my brain couldn't process what I just heard. I looked at him, waiting for clarification. Waiting for him to say, "I didn't mean it like that." But he didn't. He just stood there, quiet, cold, detached. And that silence answered more than words ever could. That night felt different. Not heartbreak, not anger, confusion. I replayed everything. Every conversation, every argument, every moment I ignored my feelings. And I started asking myself questions I avoided for a long time. Was I the problem? Or was I just the only one still trying? I wanted to text him, but I didn't, because for the first time, I felt emotionally exhausted. Over the next few days, I stopped reacting and started observing. What I saw wasn't dramatic. It was subtle, but consistent. When I needed reassurance, he avoided it. When I expressed feelings, he dismissed them. When I tried to reconnect, he stayed distant. There was no single moment where he ended things. He had already been ending it slowly, and I was just the last one to notice. A few days later, I asked him directly, "Do you even care about what I feel anymore?" He looked tired, not angry, just emotionally unavailable. Then he said, "You think too much. I don't have energy for this." That was the final clarity. Not rejection, not argument, just emotional withdrawal. And that hurts more than anything loud, because there's nothing to fight against, only something to accept. I sat in silence after that, and for the first time I understood something deeply. You don't lose someone in a single moment. You lose them slowly, while convincing yourself nothing has changed. And I had been holding on to memory, while ignoring reality. I looked at him one last time, and said, "I think I understand now." He didn't respond, but I didn't need him to, because I finally heard what I had been avoiding for a long time. Silence is also an answer, and sometimes it's the clearest one. So I left, not in anger, not in revenge, but in understanding. Sometimes people don't leave you loudly. They leave you emotionally first. And when someone tells you they don't care what you think, believe them, not because they're cruel, but because they've already shown you who they are becoming. And the hardest part of love is not letting go of the person. It's letting go of the version you hoped they would stay. If you've ever felt emotionally ignored in a relationship, I want to hear your story. Write it in the comments. You're not alone.